Welcome everybody to the Theta Healing Info Day. This is me, Bea. Lovely to see you all on the replay. And here we have a beautiful people in the studio. So this is a hybrid event and hopefully you will have fun and enjoy these new insights. So today we're here to talk a little bit about a technique that is basically personal development technique. It's meditation, energy healing. People call it all sorts of stuff. What is beautiful about it is that it can give you a lot of positive, good vibes, even in times when you're feeling unsettled or going through some challenges in your life or going through a transition. And it gives you a choice to shift your energy, shift your perspective, shift the feeling inside of your body and also inside of your mind. So it is called ThetaHealing, and I'm very excited to introduce this technique today to you all. I started off with it in 2019, and it's really changed my life. And I didn't even like meditating before. So this is always like a big controversy for me because some of you might be experienced with these techniques and energy healing and meditation. For me, all this world seems so spiritual and so far out. I come from a very thinking background. I used to be a diplomat. I was involved in the corporate world. And I always felt like I'm intuitive and called to these realms, but somehow my mind was never really letting me go there. And that was fine. It served me in a very good way until I learned about the technique and somehow I decided to take up on it and learn more about it. I felt really stuck when I met this technique. Business-wise, I was going through a big transition in my life, and something just was not feeling good. I felt like I'm going back to the same patterns, same loops that I recognized from my previous career, from my previous life, especially the achiever in me. I was the type of person who likes to get things done. Once I set my think to something, I'm going to go for it, no matter what. I'm going to fight for it. And fighting has been very beneficial for me in many ways. But I also discovered that there's another way, just fighting to get the stuff done and really hurt myself in the process. So what is really Theta healing? I'm just going to make a quick question here. Has anybody heard of it before? I understand most of you heard of it through me, and that's really great. But if you've been involved in any kind of meditative space, personal development space, you might have heard of it because it's an international technique. It was founded by Diana Steibel, who was in the States, and now there are over 180 countries that are introduced to this technique. There are practitioners, instructors all around the world in many languages. You can access this technique. So it's quite a wide global community. And it seems to be working really well. Of course, it's not for everyone. Nothing is for everyone. And the aim of today's session is to give you a little bit of an intro into what this is, how it works, and how can it be beneficial for you. And I'll share some of my personal experiences, how it has benefited not just my professional life, where it started, my stuckness was starting there, but how it infiltrated all aspects of my personal life as well. So theta healing comes from the word theta, that is a brainwave, and it uses this specific brainwave to do the work. It basically gets you through a process, a meditative process, to access this brainwave state. It's 4 to 7 hertz. There are different brainwaves. Now we are in a certain brainwave, and then when you go to do yoga, for example, and you get more relaxed, you would go to alpha. And then theta is even below that. So everyone is in a theta brainwave twice per day at least, before waking up and before going to sleep. It's like a transition. So before we fall asleep and dream, this is that kind of transition space where you're still awake but not quiet. And it's a very receptive state where you have a lot of creativity, creative energy. And also this is where they say all the patterns, beliefs are sitting. And it's a very interesting space because a lot of stuff can come up for you. And there's another very interesting thing in statistics. Scientists found that our mind is basically put together from two parts, the conscious and the subconscious. And I was really amazed to hear and find out that only 10% of our actions is coming from our conscious mind, and 90% or over 90% is driven by our subconscious. So a belief, a pattern, a generational pattern, a family pattern, a historic pattern, a cultural, societal pattern, all these are somewhere in our subconscious, and they drive our actions without us knowing about it most of the time. So what this technique does is that it helps you access consciously your subconscious, and you're able to basically put in really easy words, change programs that don't serve you anymore, limiting beliefs, patterns, and change them into supportive, empowering ones. So they say that many of our beliefs and patterns are here for us to serve us, and many are connected to our survival skills. And then we grow up and, you know, we get deconditioned or conditioned through life, after school, parents, society, everything. And then we might find that there are certain patterns that don't serve us anymore. They just keep in the loop. They just keep us in a rat race, like I did. You know, work hard. Everything has to be hard work to achieve success, and then I'm going to be successful. And the more I worked, the less I felt like I'm appreciated and valued. And I just got to the brink of really slipping to that phase very close to burnout. That was not really nice for me, nor for my body, and not for my body. So it helps you get out of these patterns. Why is it so powerful? Because ThetaHealing combines several techniques. So it's a very visual technique. You visualize a lot here. Of course, you connect your energy levels. You do a meditative technique. You go and use scientific brainwaves that they measure these on people. So there's this process, the way it's developed actually shows really that you can access this brainwave state quite quickly. Like now for me, it's several seconds. Of course, when you train, you know, you have to train a little bit everything to practice it. It's like you go to the gym and you're not going to get the six packs right away. But once you train your mind and your body to do this with this process, it's really easy to shift perspective, and it can change your life in so many ways. So whenever you're feeling like you're challenged or overridden by a fear or a negative emotion, often we label emotions as negative ones. Now I find that they're not negative or positive, they just are, and they're all valid for some reason. But if it limits us, if it limits me and doesn't serve me, I can choose how I embrace it, shift it, look at it. What do I even do with it? So in this technique, we call the work digging. We go to this meditative stage in the theta brainwave stage, and we can do digging work. So we can inquire what is the source of our beliefs to understand them. Sometimes you don't want to understand them. You might choose to change them and replace them with empowering ones. And another beautiful thing that happens in this theta state is because you're connected to an energy there. Vaya Stable, the creator of the technique, calls it the creator energy. It's not a religious thing. If you're religious, you're welcome to imagine whatever you believe in. Here, you don't have to be religious. You can be. It's for everybody. The only requirement really is that you believe that something is out there bigger than you that can help you shift these energies, whatever you call it. So there's basically a word called creator for it, so we can call it the same. We can have the same vocabulary for it, but you're welcome to use whatever you feel like. The essence of it, that this is connected to some kind of a bigger energy where you just feel a lot of unconditional love. And when I think of that, the first time when I could experience that and feel that, it was just so beautiful, because I was always searching for it outside. I was always looking for it through appreciation and approval seeking from others, mostly through my work. But then I noticed patterns that it was through every relationship, you know, somewhere subconsciously, it was always there. And this choice that you have, that you can just have it without needing anyone or anything for it, that can support you, that you don't feel alone and you feel warm from within, like, you know, when you imagine that you're drinking that cuppa and it warms you from inside. That's that feeling. Or when the sun shines on you, when you're sunbathing and you're just out of the water, you know, those are the feelings for me that are very similar to that. Everyone will, of course, have a different sensation of that and feeling. Some people will be able to visualize it more. Some people will sense it in different ways. Some people might smell or hear stuff. You know, we have several senses, so all these are very much connected. This work is not a thinking work, okay? So it's all about feeling and letting the thinking mind rest a little bit. We're basically letting the ego or the mind just have a bit of rest without having that voice that constantly tells us what to do and how to do it. And we just connect to this energy where you will intuitively know what is good for you in that situation, or you can inquire about what that is. Okay, it's a very intuitive technique. That's another thing what I love about it. I always had these these ideas that this is how I should be doing things, you know, the shoulds. And then at the end of the day, I found that most of the answers can be found within me if I inquire about them, and if I'm connected, if I'm not disrupted by different, you know, challenges of the outside world. Let it be a weather situation like this, very good example. Let it be someone telling me in my family something and that influences me. Let it be a client or a competition in the business, or whatever really that is. Your kids, your spouses, your animals. You know, it could be anything that disrupts your balance somewhere. So it's a beautiful way to really learn about ourselves and get to the core of what we really are, who we really are. And I believe once we understand that, this is when we can really stand into our full potential and bring our gifts to the world. So most of you will know what my work is about. It's really about helping people promote themselves as business owners or those people who want to be in visible roles. I found over the years that, you know, no matter if I give tools to my clients, like social media tools, how to use this platform or that platform, or how to put themselves out there with the technical tools, unless they solve the limitations behind that, it's not going to work. And so this technique is just a wonderful way to sort that out as well and look inside. So there's the visibility, that inner visibility that I love now, that goes into ourselves. So once we're comfortable and happy with what we have and what we can offer, we can really show that from a good place to others. And this will apply to, you know, anything really, whether it's a post you put up on social media, a sales pitch you do to a client. You know, everyone here is in business in a way, so you will know what I'm talking about. Or like even going after one of your wants or needs, you know, there's a difference when you go after it from a place of need and scarcity. And there is a difference when you are fully empowered and connected inside of you and know where you are, what you can bring and offer from that place. The energy will be just amazingly different. And I only know it because I know that place inside of me now. I can feel the difference. And I can tell everyone is so much better than the other. It's just so different. Another example is how you connect with people and relationships. Okay, again, you can use this very well for business relating, but you can use it to any kind of relating. So ThetaHealing, first of all, affected everything I do in business. But as I went deeper into it and learned much more about it, it affected all my relationships, my family, my friends, my network, my clients, my relating to my child, to my mother. Those were really big ones for me, where I had to do a lot of work to feel connected to myself, and eventually with myself, so related with myself. And it's such a relief. It's such a relief because I know there's that choice for me that I can change this perspective. So just something that is really active right now is something I wanted to share about this whole weather situation. So this is like a perfect example of an external thing affecting us as a whole, right? And if I go to my survival mode, I'm going to be thinking, okay, what can I do to survive this, to feel safe and to be in a safe place? Okay, what is there for a reason for me? Then I can look at it from the ego perspective. Okay, oh, this is just the rain, I'm going to be fine. That's my fighter ego. And then I can look at it from a higher perspective, and I can look at it even from a more connected perspective. What does that mean for me? How does it really actually resonate inside of me? Without every unnecessary fear or struggle or challenge that is not needed for my well-being at this stage. Of course, I want to still be aware of what's happening with me and with my community and with my neighbors and my family. But does everything what I think serve me or limit me? Okay. And I fell into this hole yesterday. I noticed myself. And then when I noticed it, I could just embrace it and shift like this, because I have this technique. Now, a lot of other techniques will work very similarly. Okay. So those of you who are into personal development and these alternative things, you might have experienced something already. For me, what I tried before, still in my mindful times, of course, mindfulness stuff, and this brain programming method, the Silva method, I think that's called. So that was very similar to that. You go into a meditative stage, you visualize, and then you think that it already happened. And it manifests easier. It worked for me really well. I used that for my sports background. I did a lot of visualization through that. But what I didn't realize is when I was using that, I was actually doing it in a theta stage. I just wasn't aware of it until I started doing this technique, because I was doing it every day before going to sleep. And so I somehow intuitively did it. I was just not aware of it. And every time we won the competitions, I don't know if that was a coincidence. I didn't do it once and we were second. So, you know, it's just a very interesting thing coming back from that side of my life. What else can you use this technique for? So it's very good for emotional and belief work. So anything that limits you currently, makes you feel stuck, makes you feel not sure, doubt yourself, belittle yourself, question yourself, procrastinate, self-sabotage, you know, these loops what we keep playing until something major happens and we decide, okay, that's enough, I want to change it. This is something this can be useful for. What I personally had good success with, and again, the founder of the technique basically created this technique out of that situation, health-related stuff. So of course, this is not a medicine. So if you have, you know, major issues, you're going to go seek out a professional. But scientists also prove in many ways that a lot of blockages in our bodies and diseases come from blocked emotions. Okay, so this technique will allow you to also look at your body, scan it in a way that is from an energy perspective, and have a look what is blocking inside of you something. Is that a belief, an old pattern, something that goes in your family? You know, sometimes you would see patterns running in the family the same way, same situation, same time of their lives. These might be stuff that is not there for you anymore to serve you, and you can shift that. So again, if you believe in it, great. If you don't, I'm not going to convince you, because you know it's just up to us to explore and experiment. The stuff that happened to me while using this technique is just beyond words. Like if it wasn't me sitting there, I would not believe that this can happen. Because it happened to me, I believe it, and I see now because it's happening with others too. I can only recommend you go and give it a try and see if it feels right for you or not, and explore with it and play with it. It might be just an extra toolbox in your toolbox that might give you another perspective to already what you've got. You've got a rich life already, most of you with a lot of skills and experiences. This might just bring you a shift of perspective that you'll be able to use and feel so much better. what it really gave me, this technique, is just feeling so much better in my skin, in how I look at things, and that I have a choice no matter what happens to me. I know I can believe that I can shift it inside of me. And maybe certain situations I can't control, but how I feel in those situations, yeah, I have a choice there. It's not a good word to control, but that I can be in that space, surrounded with a lot of compassion and love for myself. And that's so beautiful. So that's really the story of ThetaHealing from my personal experience. And what we're going to look at today is we have a beautiful person here in the room who participated at one of my first workshops. And she said she's going to be happy to share her experience, what happened to her, why she came, and what did this workshop experience with Theta result in. Before we do that, there are many ways you can experience Theta, okay? So some people say that this is it when you're lost, for example, in a view, when you're looking at a sunset and you're just immersed in something bigger than you, okay? Or sometimes when you see little kids playing and they're just chatting to themselves and you talk to them and they don't even notice you, that's also believed to be a Theta stage. So they say kids before 7, 8 years old, they are naturally most of their lives in that stage. And what is really interesting is that a lot of the conditioning, unfortunately, happens in these years. Whether we like it or not, whether we want it or not, parents do tell their kids how to live in many ways. School conditions in many ways. Environment conditions us in many ways. Again, it's not good or bad, that's how it is. But once we grow up, we might have a different outlook and a perspective. And I know a lot of stuff I learned as a kid were useful to a moment in my life. But then, for me to be in my full potential, I don't have to be bound by those limitations. Limitations around, again, relationships, limitations to money, like in our world, in the culture I come from, we have this saying, money doesn't grow on the trees, Why not? You can question that. Or like, you have to be modest. I heard that a lot. Be modest and polite. Don't brag about your stuff. Not as if I was going to brag, but I was happy as a kid to show what I'm doing and what I could do, and I was proud to show it. And then, I remember, no, you can't brag. You have to be modest. And there's a difference between bragging and showing from your full potential. So, so many things that family patterns bring along, and again, like stuff we hear every day, or like when you hear parents tell to their kids, don't do this, don't do that. It's always a don't. Like, don't step in the puddle because your shoes will get wet. Yeah, and what then? You can change the shoe, right? I remember that was such a flip for me when I became a mom. And I remember when I was not let to go into the puddle in kindy because it was all wet, and that was the best fun to play. And like, now you can ask a lot of questions. Why is this there? Is this really serving you or not? And again, you have a choice. Maybe it serves you, and carry on with that. So I don't know why I said these examples. These came up for now. Maybe it's just the energy in the room. But yeah, you just can look at it from different perspectives, and it's like you've got your different selves, and you can look at which one you want to be, which one is going to be active right now. And all of them are you. Okay, we're just not one. I believe we are more parts in ourselves. And which one is the active one? We can choose which one we want to be in and enjoy with. It's about enjoying ourselves a little bit more because, again, that's a thing. You're not here to enjoy life. You're here for hard work. Who resonates with that? Yeah. Hard work is good sometimes. And a lot of things can be done really fun and easy if we decide to do it that way. Okay, it's just a matter of decision. So I'm going to invite Omana to the stage. Welcome, Omana. Let's bring your chair here. Yeah, I want you to come and sit with me. And I'll introduce you to the crowds. So, let's see. This is Omana. And Omana, so if you'd like to share with us what brought you to the course, like what was the challenge you were facing at that time of your life?
Well, having been through so many struggles in the last number of years, some on a personal level, and then of course the thing called the pandemic. But prior to running this center that we're sitting in today, I headed his Curves Gym, women's gym, and which is just a strange story in itself. But I had stepped into it with the vision of it eventually becoming this, but knew and had felt that I was guided by the Creator, put me in that place to travel that journey. But there was just a little bit of a stage to go through. And so the winding down of that business was not easy. It was very disruptive. I had to sell my house to pay off business loans, and it was a massive challenge, emotionally, physically, and yeah, I was burnt out. So, and then just coming back from that, then pandemic hit, so I hadn't really turned over the center into what it is now, and so more challenges, more struggle, more difficult, and I started getting a little bit of a glimmer of hope, and seeing a little bit of activity developing here, but my energy was low, and I just didn't really have that spark to really ignite it. So that was the time and space that I came into ThetaHealing when the gorgeous Bea came along with such exuberant positive energy. I thought, well, I've got to check this out. So I came along to the MJ today, and just in doing the meditation that we did, I felt it so intensely. And I've done energy work for 25 years.
Yeah, what's your experience in this field? Because you were
yes, I'm a Reiki master, massage therapist. I do emotional healing work, naturopath. So it's my life working in the healing and growth and potential. And and sometimes it's just that you invite something else in, and you upskill, you step up another level. So some of it will be that, but some of it I think is just really the direct connection that ThetaHealing offers. That for me was just absolutely phenomenal and undeniable. And so when we were doing the meditation, I was feeling just really uplifted, positive, wonderful in it, and just found tears streaming down my face in that space of total awe that we usually only experience a few times in life. And it's just such a beautiful moment that I'm not anymore.
Yeah, I remember that feeling to myself when I first was asked. We were practicing in a course. I went to a course right away too, and the first time I was asked, like, would you like to receive that unconditional love? And I was like, wow, does that even exist? Like, can I really deserve that? And then when I opened up to that I was just like, yeah, beyond words. Because I was seeking for that feeling inside of me everywhere, in every instance I did. And it's like a glass that just leaks on the bottom. You keep filling it up, and it never tops to the top. It just keeps draining. And Yeah, when you say that, that's what comes up for me too. I remember that feeling.
And it was just so, I've got a spiritual practice that I've followed for 30 years. Not as actively maybe as I could, but because I wasn't having those sorts of experiences with it. I was feeling guided and going into a state, but not quite to the level as this. So for me, it was just a absolute yes.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Now, once you came to the workshop, it was a 3-day intense workshop, but you've got to experience a lot of different aspects of this technique. Could you just list a couple for the audience to hear what kind of work could you have an impact on in what territories of your life? You don't have to go into the personal details, of course.
It is just so multifaceted. ThetaHealing has so many different techniques that are all based on the same process, so it's easy to kind of follow and learn one from another. But so used it on physical. One of my first experiences in seeing a nice shift on that was just shortly after. How long was it? Not even a week, maybe a week. For a few days, my son did a big face plant on his electric scooter onto the pavement, straight down on his face. I was at home, and he was in town. My husband was halfway home, so I called out my husband enough to get him to pull over and turn back around. And meanwhile, I just beamed Theta distant to my son, and
the energy, like that loving energy,
healing energy, using Theta healing and imagining that I was right there with him. So I used visualization techniques to imagine that I was just on the pavement, down my knees, and we can never really say, but while he did break his cheekbone, he only had a tiny little bruise. It looked like he had eyeliner on, some burst blood vessels, but made an incredible recovery. He did have a mild concussion, but it would have been so much more intense without something like that. So after we brought him home, I gave him a person. He had very little pain, barely used any painkiller, just some arnica cream. And the ThetaHealing, took a few ibuprofen, just prophylactic, really, but he didn't notice any difference. So I really think it, helped manage that.
How did it help you in this process? Because
it's just
what did it give you? A lot of calmness.
Yeah, I'm just
groundedness,
maybe calm, grounded, and confident that everything would be fine. I didn't have to fret and worry about what was going to happen for him. Or was it going to be putting pressure on his eye or such? Just like I could just tap in and see how does that feel, so that I don't feel that there's an energy of concern around it. So I can just.
That's so beautiful. Like, you could not be affected by all the drama in the situation, because I imagine there would have been a lot of drama otherwise.
Didn't go there.
There was another interesting thing you said about your yoga practice. You want to share that? The spaciousness?
Remind me.
You said something about that. You went to do that after the course.
Yeah, I thought about that. Yeah. Yeah, Peter really noticed her, right away. He's like, wow, what's up with you? Glowing. And then when I got down on the mat, because I was doing one-on-one private instruction with this phenomenal teacher, highly skilled, highly experienced, so it's very new to him. And it was just night and day how much more flexibility and movement I had after that intensive weekend.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Is there anything else you would like to to add to your experience that you feel is important? Like, who would you recommend this to, or what has it given you mostly?
Mostly, it's hard to measure. I mean, I've been using it within my relationship, which has been going through some bumps. Been really helpful in that space. Of course, in my business, coming into it feeling like it was a good time because my energy was a bit flat. The center is just taken off. I attribute a lot of that to just that that lift in energy that it brought to me. So it's been phenomenal for my business, for my vision moving forward, relationship, everything, health, everything, anything.
Yeah, I can relate to everything you say. It did impact every aspect of my life too.
But it's hard to say what's one most. I can't think of one most, but something that really stands out because I experienced childhood trauma, abuse, a mother who really didn't bond with me, and always that feeling of being unloved, unsupported, carrying through my life. And during the workshop, one of the practices we did was to pair up and go up to the white light, shall we say, without giving too much away, and to meet a guardian angel or spirit guide. And in that, and while I've had experiences, and with Reiki, meeting guides or whatnot, it's been much more distant. It didn't feel so direct here. And the energy was just so big, so present, so phenomenal in that absolute feeling of being held, being loved, being supported. And it's just that constant reminder never alone, I'm always supported.
That's so beautiful. Goosebumps. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Amanda, for deciding to share this story with us. I'm really grateful to know you, first of all, and then to experience all these beautiful things. And I wish you many happy practices.
Ever grateful.
Amanda decided that she's going to go and carry this on, and she's going to add ThetaHealing to her professional expertise as well. What can happen with everybody? Like when I started this whole journey, I had no idea I'm going to be doing it, especially so quickly. I just went there for my own personal journey to really heal and sort out my stuff. And I'm here, and I'm not going to stop here because it feels like this is really I feel like this suits me so well, and everything I do in this realm of visibility, that I just feel called to share it. And whatever your path will be, whether it's going to be just for yourself or you can decide to share it with others, there are lots of opportunities out there. You can do it one-on-one with someone and just have like a session with someone who can take you to this space, to this theta brainwave and theta state, and do any kind of work, whether you want to do belief work, emotional work, body scanning, just channeling a lot of love for yourself and understanding that you can have it accessible. It's your right to have that. It's no other way. Or you can do courses and then you can get educated in this, so you can do it for yourself anytime, anywhere. So that's the path I went in. I went right away to a course, and then I just started practicing for myself. And we're building here now a group of people who are practicing this on a regular basis. So if you will choose to go on that path, there will be a community here for you to support you to experience it together, because I want to make this accessible. That's my goal. I want people to be able to use it by themselves. And that's the beauty. It's very empowering, this technique. So yeah.
Well, I find it's phenomenal to it's a self-healing technique. The energy just raises up again when you're working with a person, and when you can step out of yourself and hand over and hand over to another person. It's So that for me is a big part of what drew me to this, is that being able to plug in to that community.
How beautiful. Thank you so much. There's a lot about trust here, right? Because, sometimes, most of the time, there will be a lot of topics that will come up that might make you feel vulnerable, or they might be topics that just remembering my own experience, like we're better off in a drawer somewhere hidden down below, and I never wanted to look at it because it was just simply too painful for me to face it. And I thought I'll have another way. I distract myself, I'll keep working or keep doing, not feeling, and I never wanted to touch it. And then, things happened in my life, but kind of said, okay, I have to face it if I want to change it. And I was ready for it. And in a way, you're already here today because you're here. You chose to be here today, and it means that you might be sensing on the brink of a transition or somewhere where something major has shifted in your life and you want to just enjoy more. Let more good stuff in and enjoy more. So there will be vulnerable moments if you want to go ahead in this practice. If you're gonna choose to come to a workshop, you might want to be open to do that work with others, because you will be mostly working in pairs. If you go see someone one-on-one, whether it's gonna be me or anybody else in this space, you're gonna be, sharing that at least with another person. But what is, I think, the most important is, can you trust yourself that you're in this space now, that you can do this? And I think you can all, because you showed up today. So that's a pretty big one, I think. It's a big step. And as everything, the journey of the 1,000 miles, that's the first one. And I don't think there's an end here. It's just a beautiful, expansive work. It's a growth. I also believe we don't have to be better in any way. We're already pretty cool. And just finding that comfort inside of us, that we don't have to get better. We don't have to do something to be better or to prove that we are better. It's just connecting to that inner space where we can find that groundedness. And that just gives such a big confidence and such an inner empowering feeling. It's something you can't, have from outside. It comes from inside. And you're still gonna practice it, It's like practice and consistency will help you to get it quicker and easier and smoother. And how much you're gonna practice, if you even want to practice, it's gonna be totally up to you. There's no shoots here. So whatever feels right for you, I recommend you do that. And I recommend you start trusting more even your intuition, because it's there for you to guide you in the right way and the right place. And you will just find so much treasure inside of you if you go down this track. So thank you so much, Amanda, again, for sharing this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the floor for any questions, if we have any questions. And we might do a little guided meditation as a demo so you can experience it yourself. Okay? So I'm just going to check in with the audience here first. Is there anything that is not clear or you're more excited to hear about? Or shall we just dive in and experience it?
So how do you differentiate it from, so I follow the Buddhist teachings, I meditate like twice a day and manage to get into the Theta stage. So how is it different as a meditation? Because in Buddhist meditation, you can do passive or active meditation, depending on what diverse side of your being you want to embrace. And then if you're looking at yoga, transcendental meditations, there's quite a few meditations that converse with it. The objective is to get to the Theta state. So why is this different against us?
It's a very good question, and I'm not sure I can answer this. I would recommend you test it and find the answer for yourself. What is the difference? I'm personally not experienced with Buddhist meditations very much. I learned a little bit about them, but I don't have my personal experience, I can't compare it. I know what is different for me to every other kind of meditation is that there are several techniques that this combines, and that's how it makes it very powerful for me. So one part is visualization, one part is connecting your chakra system and your energy field. One part is imagining that you're going and connecting to something that connects in a bigger level. So here we call it crater. There's an expression in there. So you express when you delete a program or you download one. So even if it's just talking for yourself, there is an expression that's happening that empowers this process. And then there's a feeling in there that comes in when you witness the shift in energy. So a lot of little things combined together will make it a powerful experience. I'm very visual, so I see a lot of things in this process. I would sometimes hear or experience things through my hearing side, like sense. Some people can smell. So I had clients who had a sense of smell while they were doing the meditation, and that shifted something big time for them. So we're all wired differently. What this opens you up to is a lot of more sensations and feelings, and to trust what is inside of your gut or your heart or your body, what feels right for you. So I have no idea how to answer the question, and I recommend you experience it and feel into it. What is the difference? Or maybe there is no difference. Maybe you're already doing it through another tool, you know. So I believe a lot of tools and techniques will take us to the same place. It's just the way there is different. Yeah. So you might find that you're going to be taken to the same place, and that will be your preference. Maybe this will give you an insight that you didn't have there. Okay, so it's a beautiful playground to explore. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
I do. What's the best way to start? Is it in a group workshop or one-to-one? What do you recommend?
There's no good and right way. Yeah, if you're interested about it, I know like why you're asking it. For me personally, I wanted to go for the group because that was available when I got acquainted by the technique, and that's how it worked. Other people will do it one-on-one. I recommend you do either or and check if you like it. Both will give you that sensation. I'm sure about that, if it fits you or not. Okay. The one-on-one is great because you will get to experience it just for yourself, and you know you can deal with the topics that are quite active for you and accurate, and you'll have a personalized process in that situation. The workshop is different because it will go through a guided theme and topics. You know, we have a certain material that we have to teach, and there's a certain order for those, and there are several courses. So the basic course that I'm going to teach in September will be, you know, the basic, the introduction to this technique. I'll be bringing an advanced course later this year as well. For now, I'm qualified to do these two courses because I have to get a certification for that as well. But there are other courses as well you can explore with. One of my favorites was the course called Intuitive Anatomy. For 2 weeks, we were basically spending all day scanning our body for blocked emotions and beliefs from head to toe, every single organ, every single body part. It was just the most eye-opening experience of my life. And I shifted so many stuff inside of me. And there's so much more space in my body that I can't tell you again like how it felt, because it's something to be experienced. So there are beautiful offerings here. The workshop will take you into a set, in a set of topics, what will be a good way for you to get started so you can do it for yourself. Both will be perfect in the right time for you. And if you decide to choose it, you know, if you're called for it, you will know which one to go for, and you'll do it. I just believe that. But my story with this is I was back in Hungary in 2019 when I came across this technique. And I was looking for a technique to help me get unstuck so badly. Like I tried so many things, nothing really worked. And I went home for vacation. I'm originally from Hungary, so I went for some weeks to see my family. And I think first or second day I was crying on the shoulder of my mom, you know, just needing a bit of love, like, Mom, nothing is working. I don't know how to do this. I'm so stuck. I felt like really stopping what I was doing at that time. And then she said, well, why don't you just go for the Theta course? And she's been telling me about it for years, but I was never open for it. I just felt it's too out there. And then I said, well, I tried so many other stuff. What if I tried this? And somehow she said it at that moment from a place of really love and caring. And, you know, moms are very intuitive. I just didn't think that way until some stage. So I listened to her, and then we found a course because I asked her, okay, do you know someone? And she said, yeah, she's been reading the newsletter of a lady for years. And okay, I said, okay, let's have a look. Maybe there's something while I'm home for those few weeks. And that weekend, she had an info day. And next weekend, she had a course. So I was home for 2 weeks, and it happened all the dinners. It was just, you know, it was aligned.
Yeah.
So I trust in this. Once we open up these new horizons and welcome in a new energy, the energy is going to show up for us, whatever there is. It's just up to us if we listen to it or let it in, because our system might tell us, no, we're not ready, or let's not do it because there's a fear there, or some kind of a judgment, or I think that's another thing. Right? The cool stuff is you can explore with this technique. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna check here if there's any questions here. All good? Okay, all good. Thank you. If you have any questions later on, you can always contact me afterwards. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just pause here for a moment. And for those of you who are interested in hearing more about this technique, feel free to reach out to me. You know, those of you who are watching this on a replay. Thank you for being here with us today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some new insights and perspectives through this technique. There's quite a few blogs I wrote on my webpage, and there will be a lot of cool stuff coming up in the future, courses, one-on-one sessions. So if you're feeling the calling for that, please reach out, and I will also send you a surprise after this this event, because you're here and I prepared something special for you. So thank you for being here. I'm going to pause it here, and those of you who are going to join us for the meditation, I will see you for that. Thank you.